Right now, someone out there is living the life you dream about, not because they're smarter, richer, or luckier than you, but because they refuse to stay down when life knocked them flat. So my question to you is this: how long will you let your rock bottom define you, when today could be the first step toward the greatest comeback of your life? When you hit rock bottom, it can feel like the whole world is closing in around you. The pressure, the disappointment, the loss, they can weigh you down so heavily that you start believing this is where you're meant to stay. But the truth is, the place you're standing in right now is not the place where your story ends. Your current situation is only a chapter, not the entire book. Too many people confuse a tough season with a life sentence. They assume that because things look dark today, they will always be dark. But the reality is, every single person who has ever created something extraordinary in their life has had moments where it seemed impossible to move forward. The key difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise is the belief that where they are is not permanent. You have to understand that life is constantly shifting. The challenges you face right now, no matter how big they seem, are temporary. They're not a definition of who you are. They're simply a reflection of where you are. If you can separate your identity from your circumstances, you'll begin to see possibilities instead of dead ends. Think about it. Your bank account may be empty, but that doesn't make you worthless. You might have failed in business, but that doesn't make you a failure. You might be facing rejection, but that doesn't make you unlovable. What you're going through is an event, not a permanent condition. When you accept that your current reality can change, your mind opens up to new strategies, new paths, and new ways of thinking. Suddenly, instead of obsessing over what's wrong, you start searching for what's next. This is the shift that turns hopelessness into determination. And it doesn't require everything to be fixed at once. It requires you to start believing that something better is possible. Once that belief is in place, your energy changes. You walk differently, you speak differently, and people respond to you differently. Even the most successful people didn't start from a place of abundance. Many began in situations that looked hopeless from the outside. What they had was the refusal to accept that their present situation defined them. They chose to see rock bottom as a launching pad instead of a prison. That decision created a ripple effect, pushing them to take small, consistent actions until the entire direction of their life shifted. Your situation today, no matter how heavy it feels, is simply a moment in time. It's not who you are. It's not all you're capable of. And when you decide to see it that way, the power to change it becomes yours. Hitting rock bottom is one of the most painful and disorienting experiences a person can go through, but hidden inside that pain is an opportunity that most people overlook. When life strips away everything you thought you needed, it also strips away the illusions, the distractions, and the unnecessary noise that kept you from seeing what truly matters. At first, it feels like destruction, but in reality, it's a form of transformation. It's life clearing the ground so you can rebuild on a stronger foundation. When you're at your lowest point, the masks come off. You're forced to face yourself, not the version you present to the world, but the real you, Theane, behind all the titles, possessions, and stories. And while that can feel uncomfortable, it's in this raw, unfiltered state that real growth happens. Rock bottom removes the safety nets and forces you to tap into a part of yourself that you might never have accessed otherwise. You begin to discover a resilience you didn't know you had, a level of focus you didn't think was possible, and a hunger to rise that only comes from knowing what it feels like to be knocked down. It's in this place that you can no longer pretend. The excuses you used to rely on don't hold up anymore. The blame you used to place on others feels empty. You realize that waiting for someone to save you is a waste of time because no one is coming, and that's actually a gift. It forces you to become your own hero. It pushes you to take ownership of your future in a way you might never have done if things had stayed comfortable. Rock bottom has a way of burning away what's not essential. You stop caring about impressing people who don't matter. You stop chasing things that were never truly fulfilling. Instead, you start valuing progress over perfection, meaning over image, and purpose over possessions. The clarity that comes from being stripped down to nothing is something you can't buy, can't read about in a book, and can't fully understand until you've lived it. When you reach that place, you have a choice. You can let the weight of it crush you, or you can use it as the turning point that changes everything. Some of the greatest comebacks in history started with people who had nothing left to lose. The pain became the fuel. The emptiness became the motivation, and the same can be true for you. Rock bottom isn't just an ending, it's the exact place where the person you were dies, and the person you were meant to be starts to come alive. The American dream has never been just about money or material possessions. At its core, it's about the freedom to shape your own life, to decide who you want to be, and to pursue that vision without being held back by where you started. It's about the ability to rise above your circumstances, no matter how challenging they may be, and to create a life that reflects your deepest values and desires. People often confuse the dream with a number in a bank account or a big house on a hill, but those are just symbols. The real dream is waking up each day with a sense of purpose and control over your future. This vision of freedom begins with the belief that your destiny isn't fixed. You might have been born into poverty, hardship, or struggle, but you don't have to die there. The American dream is the permission to break cycles, to rewrite your story, and to prove that your starting point does not define your end point. It's about turning setbacks into setups for something greater and using every failure as a stepping stone toward the life you want. What makes this dream powerful is that it doesn't discriminate against those who are willing to work for it. It doesn't matter if you're starting with nothing but grit and determination. Those can be your most valuable assets. Many of the most successful people didn't begin with wealth or connections. They began with a vision and the willingness to take relentless action toward it. That's the true spirit behind the dream. The courage to believe in something bigger than your current reality, and the commitment to make it happen, step by step. But here's the truth most people don't want to admit. The dream doesn't chase you. You have to go after it. Freedom isn't given, it's claimed. That means stepping outside your comfort zone, making sacrifices, and sometimes enduring seasons of discomfort while you build. It means holding on to your vision when others doubt you, and refusing to settle for less when the road gets hard. When you see the American dream as a life of freedom rather than just financial gain, it changes how you approach everything. You stop chasing empty achievements and start focusing on what truly matters to you, whether that's starting your own business, providing a better life for your family, traveling the world, or simply having the time and flexibility to do what you love. The money can be a byproduct, but the real reward is living life on your terms, knowing that you built it from the ground up. No matter where you started, there comes a moment in life when you realize you've been settling for less than you deserve. Maybe you've convinced yourself that this is just how life is, or that your dreams are unrealistic. You've accepted the job that drains you, the relationships that don't support you, and the routines that keep you stagnant because it feels safer than stepping into the unknown. But deep down, you know there's more. You feel it when you see someone else living a life of passion and freedom. You feel it when you remember a time you had big dreams and a fire in your soul. That pull you feel is your potential trying to break free. And the truth is, nothing changes until you decide you will no longer settle. Settling is the silent killer of dreams. It's the choice to stay where it's comfortable, even though you know it's unfulfilling. It's convincing yourself that your current situation is good enough, while your heart knows it's not. The danger is that the longer you settle, the more you forget what you're capable of. You start lowering your standards, not just in what you accept from the world, but in what you expect from yourself. The turning point comes when you finally say, enough. That's when the power shifts. That decision is the moment you take control of your life again. You stop being a passenger and grab the steering wheel. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to dream and start giving it to yourself. That's the instant your comeback begins, not when the circumstances change, but when your mindset changes. When you decide you're done settling, everything in your life starts to realign. You become more intentional with your time, your energy, and the people you surround yourself with. You start making decisions based on where you want to go instead of where you've been. And here's the most important part. You stop letting fear dictate your actions. Fear will always whisper reasons to stay small, but when you've truly made the decision to rise, that voice loses its power. Taking control doesn't mean you have all the answers. It doesn't mean the path will be easy. But it does mean you've drawn a line in the sand and committed to stepping forward, no matter what it takes. You may have to face challenges, discomfort, and even temporary setbacks. But each step you take away from settling moves you closer to the life you've always wanted. It's not about waiting for the perfect time. It's about deciding now is the time, because the longer you wait, the further your dream drifts. The moment you stop settling, you send a message to yourself and the world that you are ready for more. And that decision alone can ignite a chain reaction of opportunities, growth, and transformation. If you wait for the perfect moment to start, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. The truth is, there will always be something that feels incomplete, some challenge in the way, some reason to delay. People convince themselves they need more time, more money, more knowledge, or more confidence before they take the leap. But that's just fear in disguise. Waiting for permission from the world, from circumstances, or from yourself keeps you trapped exactly where you are. Progress doesn't come from thinking about change. It comes from doing something about it, even if it's messy, imperfect, or uncertain. Action is the great disruptor of fear. The second you take a step, no matter how small, you break the cycle of hesitation. You start building momentum, and momentum is the fuel for transformation. The perfect time is an illusion. What's real is the opportunity you have in this moment to make a move. Maybe it's a phone call, a conversation, an application, or a decision to commit to something bigger than yourself. What matters is that you shift from passive dreaming to active doing, because once you're in motion, you learn faster, adapt quicker, and open doors you didn't even know were there. Permission is something many people don't realize they've been waiting for. Maybe you've been waiting for someone to validate your dream, to tell you you're good enough, or to confirm that it's worth the risk. But if you're waiting for that, you'll be waiting forever, because the only permission that truly matters is the one you give yourself. The moment you decide you're worthy of more, you take your power back. You stop seeking approval and start creating your own path. That's when your life starts to shift, because your decisions are no longer dictated by fear, doubt, or the expectations of others. Taking action without waiting for the stars to align sends a clear message to your subconscious you are in control. Even if you don't have every detail figured out, each step you take builds courage and clarity. You might fail at first. You might stumble, but failure is just feedback. It's how you learn what works and what doesn't. You can't steer a parked car, and you can't change your life standing still. Movement is what gives you the power to course correct, to refine, and to grow into the person capable of living the life you want. There's no perfect moment coming in the future. The conditions won't magically become ideal. Life rewards those who move, those who take a leap even when their legs are shaking, those who understand that imperfect action today is worth far more than perfect intentions tomorrow. If you start now, even in uncertainty, you'll be shocked at how quickly the path begins to appear. How many opportunities you didn't see before start to reveal themselves, and how fast the world responds when you finally decide to stop waiting and start moving. Every comeback story is built on the foundation of belief, and that belief has to start with you. When you're at rock bottom, it's easy to let your circumstances define your worth. You look around and see failure, rejection, loss, and it's tempting to believe that's all you are. But belief isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing the reality you want to create and holding on to it, even when the evidence isn't there yet. The human mind is a powerful tool. It will find proof for whatever you believe. If you believe you're stuck, you'll find reasons to stay stuck. If you believe you can rise, you'll start seeing opportunities to climb. Self-belief is not arrogance. It's not pretending you're perfect. It's the deep, unshakable conviction that no matter where you are now, you have the ability to grow, adapt, and succeed. It's understanding that your past failures are not a permanent label, but lessons that can be used as stepping stones. This belief becomes the anchor that holds you steady when the storms hit. It's the voice in your head that says, "I've been through worse and I'm still here." Or "I don't know how yet, but I will figure it out." A belief isn't just an internal feeling, it's something you act on. If you believe you can change, you take actions that reflect that. You push yourself into situations that scare you. You invest in learning. You surround yourself with people who lift you up instead of dragging you down. Each action you take strengthens your belief, creating a feedback loop that keeps you moving forward. But the reverse is also true. If you don't believe in yourself, you take fewer risks, you play small, and you reinforce the idea that you're not capable. The biggest challenge is that belief often has to come before the results. That's where most people get stuck. They want to see proof before they believe. But transformation works the other way around. You believe first, you act on that belief, and then the results come. It's like planting a seed. You don't wait for the tree to grow before you believe it will. You water it, nurture it, and protect it because you trust in its potential, even when it's invisible. You have to guard your belief fiercely, especially when others doubt you. Not everyone will see what you see. Not everyone will understand your vision. Some will project their own fears onto you, and if you're not careful, you'll start to absorb them. That's why it's critical to be intentional about the voices you allow into your life, both from the outside world and from inside your own head. Your internal dialogue must become your greatest ally, because at the end of the day, nobody else can fight for your belief as fiercely as you can. The moment you fully own it, the moment you decide you are capable no matter what, is the moment you stop being defined by where you are and start being defined by where you're going. Your comeback will not be built overnight. It will be built one consistent action at a time. Consistency is the force that turns a spark into a wildfire, a small habit into a life-changing transformation. Most people fail not because they lack talent, vision, or desire, but because they cannot stay the course long enough to see the results. The truth is, the world rewards those who show up again and again, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching, even when the excitement is gone, and all that's left is discipline. Think about the gym. Going once won't change your body. Reading one book won't change your mind. Making one sale won't build a business. But when you repeat those actions over and over, they compound. The first week might feel like nothing is happening. The first month might still feel slow. But 6 months later, a year later, you look back and realize you've created momentum so strong that it carries you forward almost effortlessly. That momentum doesn't come from intensity alone. It comes from frequency, from doing it so often that it becomes part of who you are. Consistency is not about perfection. You will have days when you don't feel like doing the work, when life gets in the way, when you're tempted to slack off. The key is to not let one bad day turn into two, then three, then a week of lost progress. Missing once is human. Missing repeatedly is a habit. You train yourself, through small daily victories, to get back up quickly and keep moving. The best performers in any field aren't the ones who never stumble. They're the ones who recover the fastest. One of the biggest secrets about consistency is that it builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, even a small one, you prove to yourself that you are someone who can be counted on. This self-trust becomes the foundation of your confidence. The opposite is also true. If you constantly break your own promises, you erode your belief in yourself and make it harder to take on bigger challenges. That's why keeping even the smallest promises matters. There will be moments when consistency feels boring. Progress will feel slow, and you'll be tempted to chase something new and exciting. That's when you must remind yourself that the magic is happening in the repetition, in the accumulation of effort over time. Mastery doesn't come from occasional bursts of brilliance. It comes from relentless commitment to the fundamentals. Every day you show up, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become, and over time, those votes add up until your identity changes. The most powerful thing about consistency is that it turns effort into inevitability. When you do something long enough, you stop wondering if you'll succeed and start realizing it's only a matter of when. That is when your comeback stops being a possibility and starts becoming your reality.